In this video, I'll be telling you everything you need to know about the rule of thirds. This rule applies to filmmaking, photography, YouTube videos, and once understood will massively improve the composition of your shots. It's coming up. Hey everyone, Steve here from Learn Online Video, helping you master the art of online video production. So, what is the rule of thirds? Well, in a nutshell, it is the composition of your shot or the framing of your shot and where within the frame your point of interest sits. The best and most simple way to understand the rule of thirds is with a grid like this. Now, you may have seen a grid like this on your camera before and switched it off because you thought it was distracting, but if you're new to composition and you're just starting out, then I'd recommend keeping this grid switched on. The grid is made up of two vertical lines and two horizontal lines, all spaced evenly apart. Now, when we place our subjects on these lines, particularly where they meet, a much more aesthetically pleasing shot is created and our eyes are drawn to these focal points. It also helps balance a shot and gives it more context. To best demonstrate all of this, I've gathered some footage together. We're going to take a look at that now and we'll see how the rule of thirds has been applied. So this first shot, a nice simple one, it's of an interview, a sit-down interview for a promotional film. So as you can see, when we apply the grid, you'll see I've placed the subject, in this case Jade, on the cross-section of the vertical and horizontal lines because this is our focal point. This was a two-shot, a close-up and a wide shot, but no matter which shot we cut to, you'll see that the rule of thirds has been applied. Now let's step things up a notch and head outside. So let's say we want to shoot some video or take a photograph of this lighthouse. We could place the lighthouse here, but it doesn't look particularly great. But if we move the camera and reposition the lighthouse here using the rule of thirds, you can see that our framing looks much better and we have a much more pleasing shot. If your shot has two subjects, and you can place them so that they appear on both of the vertical lines. So these have all been static shots. What happens when we want to add some movement? Here's some footage of a promotional film that I recently shot, and as you can see, when I add the grid, you'll notice that I'm placing my subjects using the rule of thirds. So the next time you're watching a film or a TV show, pay close attention to where the subjects are being placed within the frame because you'll be surprised by just how often the rule of thirds is applied. Hollywood is using this technique, TV shows are using this technique, and so should you. But what happens if you've already taken your photograph or you've shot your footage and you haven't applied the rule of thirds? Well, don't worry because it's not too late. Just import your footage into your editing software. In this case, I'm using Final Cut Pro, but all editing software will allow you to do this. We can then adjust the composition of our shot using the rule of thirds, and voila. So the next time you're about to take a photograph or shoot some video, take a moment just to think about your framing, your composition, your subject, and the rule of thirds. Now, this is a rule and rules are there to be broken, but only break a rule that you understand. Think of it more as a handy rule of thumb rather than one that's set in stone. An exception to this rule, for example, could be wanting to capture a symmetrical shot like this one here. I could have placed myself to the left or to the right, but the shot just feels a little unbalanced. And this, of course, is all subjective. Art is subjective, films are subjective, what's good and bad is subjective. So if you're just starting out, use the rule of thirds, get to grips with it, experiment with it, and then think about breaking it. So I hope this video has helped. If it did, give it the old thumbs up. If you haven't already, you can subscribe by clicking over here. Any questions, leave them in the comment section below, but that's it from me. I will see you in the next video.